Please be advised the following program is rated E for education. It is not intended for the faint at heart. Reviewing this program may cause towers to become smarter, safer, and more profitable than ever before. All opinions expressed are of John Borowski, a.k.a. Mr. Industry. Viewer discretion is definitely advised.
Hello, I'm John Borowski, and you're on the hook. In this episode, we'll be talking about adapting to change in 2023. Hello, today I want to talk to you about adapting to change. As you all know, there's a lot of change going on around us. I want to make sure that you're aware of all the change and you know what's happening around you. I know since the pandemic, a lot of people have not gotten out, and quite honestly, I'm old school, so I don't really adapt to change very well, but I do always look at change, and I make sure that it is going to be constructive and positive for the future of the industry, anything that I do or I talk about. And there's a lot of things happening. There's not much you can do about it, but it's all in how you address yourself with the issues at hand. You know, the first and foremost right now, as you know, staffing issues. Staffing is quite a bit of problem with a lot of companies. I don't know what happened to the core of America as far as wanting to work. There's so many people that just want to stay home and just collect a check, and that's just not how life goes. I mean, I've always been the guy that work as hard as you can when you're young, because when you get older, you have to start fading away a little bit, dropping off some of the duties that you normally do because you just physically can't handle them anymore. But it doesn't seem that way with today's people. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's not the way I was brought up. I don't know. But I do know that you've got a lot of staffing issues as to how to hire them, how to retain them, how to talk to them, how to address them. The pronoun thing's just out of control. Your accounts. You should be checking in with all of your accounts and see what their needs are. Make sure you're satisfying all of their needs, because if you're not, they'll find somebody who is. You need to be sensitive to their issues. Remember, you're a service company. They're the customer. I'm telling you, as I'm sitting here now, if you never remember anything I ever tell you again, I'm going to tell you right now. Quality service is king. It will always be king. And if you forget about that, you'll come in last place, never mind second place. Second place is first time loser, as you know. That's not good. You need to get out there and you need to start answering your customers' problems and addressing them. Your rates. When's the last time you've changed your rates? When's the last time you reviewed your rates? You know, everything has gone up, and I don't care what it is, but everything has gone up in cost primarily because of transportation costs and then supply and demand. You better be reviewing your rates. I know normally I would say annually, but I think you better be doing it quarterly, if not more, depending on how things change. Price of fuel goes up, it goes down, and that affects you on every tow. And I know it's different for everybody. In my state, a normal tow is like 5 miles or less. You go to Texas, a normal tow is probably about 40 miles round trip, minimum. So you need to look at your rates. You need to understand your profitability. I know you're tired of hearing that from me. I've been talking about it for years now, but now it's more important than ever. If you want to be in business on your own, you need to, first of all, accept the responsibility of all the staff you have working for you, because they're trusting you. I mean, if you fall flat on your face and file bankruptcy, well, then I guess that's your issue and you'll deal with it. But what about all those people working and breaking their backs, working for you, doing that dangerous job out there? It's dangerous. And as you know, by now, and we're talking about the future of things, the technologies today should be having less motor vehicle accidents, and rightfully so. Like, the cars handle better, stop better, perform better all the way around. They're more comfortable. They've eliminated a lot of blind spots in cars. There's really no reason to be having any kind of crashes or anything else happening. But then came the cell phone. The cell phone will do it every time. That distraction will distract people to no end. And people don't care. They're on the highway, and I see them all the time. I know people joke about the woman at the traffic light doing her eyelashes, and somebody at the other light eating a breakfast sandwich and a coffee and hands off the wheel, or their dog is twisted up through the steering wheel watching where they're going. You got to take things seriously. There's more crashes now than there's ever been. I mean, fortunately for the distractions, the number of vehicles towed in this country are still up there, but they're not good. People getting hurt and having losses. That's the real tragedy. The real tragedy that we're talking about here. That needs to change. The vehicles that you tow today have changed. As you know, towing is to accommodate the motor vehicle that is broken down. Well, I know we always talked about before about going from a sling to a wheel lift. Those were very obvious things, and that was all because of the aerodynamics, the change in the car. The front is more of a fascia than it is anything that's really supportive or strong. Like before, you'd pick it up with a sling, you'd be applying all the pressure against that front bumper. It was a big steel bumper. Now they're plastic with a special additive in the paint for flex, and you can crack the paint very easily. That's just one of many things. But here's the real thing. With the upcoming shows, if you haven't been to a show ever, shame on you. And I'm going to say it right now, and I'll say it to your face. Shame on you. If you're going to work in industry, how do you expect to learn more in it by sitting there in your own environment, complaining about the same issues, the same mistakes, all the things you're lacking in your business day after day after day? You got to get out. You got to learn from people that know, and they're out there. American Towman has been putting out shows that are just unbelievable with the educational format with the American Towman Academy. Now, the electric vehicles, that's where I'm going. I'm doing a course on that. Do you know about electric vehicles? Do you know how many alternative fuel vehicles there are out there? There happens to be 9. And I'll bet most of you didn't know that unless you watched my other video where I did tell you that. I know I didn't even know it when I started digging into it. But we need to be aware of the problems. The electric vehicles and the hybrid vehicles are in the same family as far as troubles, problems, and worries. They can and will start up on fire for almost, as far as you're concerned, almost no reason whatsoever. But they have traced it down to any time that there's a high-speed chase, there's a lot of energy flowing through them wires. Everything heats up, and eventually it starts on fire. If you get into a crash and you disrupt the batteries, you can have a problem there. And these batteries are contained in a metal enclosure underneath your vehicle to protect them. But then you can't get at them to put them out. Are you aware of those vehicles? Are you aware of what a Faraday bag is? If you don't, I'm not going to tell you today. I want you to find out what a Faraday bag is. That's F-A-R-A-D-A-Y. Faraday bag. You should have one in every truck. And when you find out what it is, you'll find out why. And if you don't know, I'll see you in Las Vegas with that course, and I will tell you, and I will bring a Faraday bag. There's all kinds of problems with cars that we tow now. There's a lot of people that don't have insurance. The economy is not in good shape. Most of us do a lot of non-consensual tows. So what that means is the owner really didn't want the vehicle towed, but it got towed anyway. So what they're looking for is something they can blame on the tower for damage so they can get out of the tow, which is absolutely ridiculous. So again, today's procedures, everybody's going to digital dispatch, and it's for a good reason. I work for a company that does that. And I used to work for a company that did that as well. And what it does is it takes out all the complaints for non-existing damages, making the facts come clear. It stops all of your insurance claims, unless of course, you've done the damages. But believe me when I tell you, it's really, really good to have that because it says what time you were there. You can track how fast that truck was going. There's a lot of things that go with it. So this is all your procedural things that you that you need to understand. So there's also cameras on the trucks. Another thing that you need to have because you need to record everything that's going on. I've already seen drivers say that they were involved in an accident. It wasn't their fault. And when you review the on this particular truck, there were 2 cameras. One forward, you watch the crash happen. It was a parked vehicle. I don't know how that parked vehicle ran out in front of him. Then you look at the other camera that's pointing back to him, such as you're looking at me right now, and there he is on his phone. And then he looks up, sees that he was in an accident, and he swears, "Oh no, I just lost my job." But yet when he goes to the boss, lies through his teeth because he didn't want to lose that job, and he really didn't. He really thought he was going to get away with it, even though he knows there's cameras in the trucks. I don't know if he knew there was one pointing on him. He knew there was one forward, but both cameras showed what happened. So it's very surprising. Again, staffing, but new technology. Now here's some old school stuff. You know, many years ago in my state, a handful of guys got together and formed the Towing Association for the state of Massachusetts. We are the second oldest association in the country. We're like 6 months younger than California. CTTA has been there a long time too. You know, the two coastlines have been very, very aware of problems with issues in the towing world simply because there's more towing being done on the coastlines. So my state worked very hard to develop a lot of good legislation to protect you, the tower, and the customer, and the driver. And everything is out there, the lien laws, everything, how to properly convert a vehicle from a vehicle that was towed with a bill on it and the owner doesn't want to pick it up and they abandon it, and you can follow the lien process and convert that vehicle legally. I know there's issues there too within the industry, and I'm not going to go into it because it's too embarrassing for some people, and I don't want to elaborate on that. But I will tell you, the days are coming. As you know, the government's in bad shape financially, and they're going to look for profit centers. And guess who always pays the bills? Yes, you're right. It's always us. So what they're going to do is they'll start fining you on all these laws that are out there. So when you convert your vehicles, have you done your lien process correctly? Now, I know you're tired of hearing that from me too, because I've been talking about that for many years. If you do not convert a vehicle correctly, it is called conversion. And I'll define that for you. In the mafia world, they used to get away with a lot of stealing and a lot of crimes, and what they did was they made it a felony for conversion. So that would prevent the mafia from stealing things, selling it, putting the profit in their pocket, and that's basically what you would be doing if, in fact, you don't do the process correctly. You're doing the same kind of thievery. That is go straight to jail. There is no first time slap on the wrist, you bad boy, I'm not going to do it again. No, that doesn't happen that way. You will be going to jail with that. Now, another process that's out there that's been around for many years, and if you don't know about this, then maybe you're not involved in your association. There is a law that the Department of Justice has to be notified of that vehicle going to its final resting spot, if in fact it is going to a salvage yard. And you know that vehicle is never going to be registered again, so they can eliminate the title in the process, and that car will be listed. And it costs you nothing to list your vehicles when you know that those particular vehicles are going to salvage and being crushed or cut up or whatever. If you don't do it, $1,000 a day per vehicle when you get caught. Now I want you to think to yourself right now, you just take a moment and you think about every vehicle that you got rid of, that you towed straight to the junkyard, didn't do the lien process, whatever you did. If you did not follow that lien process, that owner has that right to come back and ask for your paperwork. And if you don't have it, guess what? You'll be a statistic in the industry as well. These are things you need to be very aware of, and you better believe it. These things are going to be coming at us. Now, I think everybody needs to understand that you need to protect yourself today. You need to know everything that's happening here on a regular basis. And that means maybe joining your state association and your national association. This week, I'm going to the TREA Legislative Hill Week, and we're going to be talking about some legislation, instilling some legislation. I'm looking forward to getting something put in, excuse me, that for the lien process. And we'll touch on that at another time. But what my point is that you need to belong to your state association. State associations, for whatever reason, thought they could survive till eternity doing tow shows. Well, that changed a lot because you have really high-quality shows out there now, and the nice little meet and greet, kick the tires, meet your competitors that you haven't seen in a while, and the only way you're going to see them is once a year at the tow show, and that just doesn't work anymore, and there's no profit in that for the vendors that come there. And the vendors are truly the ones that produce the largest income to the Towing Association, and it's not happening. I am announcing to you today, if you want your association to flourish and become profitable, I want you to contact me directly. I have a plan in place, and I assure you it will work. And it will make you strong again in your state. You'll get all your legislation through. You'll start having a lobbyist working for you because you will be able to afford it. Most people right now can't even afford an association president, which is sad. I mean, you need that in the worst way. Because on your own, if not, are you a lawyer? Are you following all the laws? Are you following the effects of all these different pieces of legislation? They're coming from everywhere. I mean, everywhere, whether it's tires on the ground, whether it's scrapping vehicles, whether it's charging rates, how you handle, how you deal with people, how you dispose of those vehicles. That all is knowledge you learn from the state associations. And if you're not doing it, shame on you. You should probably find another industry to get into, because if you're not keeping up with it, believe me when I tell you, people are going to get eaten alive on these issues if they don't start performing correctly. Our at one time ancillary service has become an industry, and that's been coming up on 30 years now. I mean, it's time. It's time for people to start acting that way. And I know part of it is the phasing out of the old school, which is guys my age. But the young ones coming in usually kind of follow the elders when they come in. But this generation, for some reason, is not. So I'm telling you now, I think the best thing for everybody involved is to make sure that you go to your tow shows, the national shows, the big ones, the ones that are actually producing really high quality education, showing you the latest and greatest, the best policies and procedures that you can put together. They're out there. And if you're not employing those policies and procedures, they will eventually come to get you. And I don't want to see that happen. I think this industry is one of the greatest things going. It keeps people happy. It keeps them in their second largest investment they'll ever make in their life. And a lot of people are naive. They don't know how to deal with these situations. There's a lot of corporations and financial and investors coming into our industry right now. And if you don't take the time to look at what they're doing, some are really good and some are just really there for the dollar. And that's it. So you need to evaluate them for yourself. I urge you to make sure that you take a good hard look at everything that's coming at you. Make sure you go to the shows. I happen to have a flyer right here of the 3 shows for American Towman coming up. I hope to see you at these shows. And until the next time, be safe out there. Everybody goes home. Remember, your family at home needs you now more than they ever have. Thank you. God bless. See you the next time.
Join me for the American Towman Showplace in Las Vegas at the South Point Hotel Casino and Spa. Join me for a mega show experience with over 150 industry suppliers exhibiting at the South Point Conference Center.